What's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the No Matter What podcast. My name is Sina.
Rafa.
Hi, Marianne.
How are you, Marianne? How was your day today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah?
Stressful day, but I'm here. I'm grateful to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 40 years old. I just turned the big 40 this weekend.
How's that?
Super, super grateful, honestly. And I'm a mom. I have a full-time career and, just a busy life. I'm 16 years into recovery, going on 17, hopefully this year.
16 years clean or 16 years?
I have 16 years clean. Yeah, I got clean when I was 23 years old. And so why I was like excited when I said I'm 40 is because I got clean and surrendered on my birthday when I was 23 years old. So,
dude, I try to do that. That's a fucked up thing. I try to get clean on my natal birthday, and then God said, "No, you're about to have your first overdose on August 18th."
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't try to ever even care.
Yeah.
I just did it. Yeah, no.
Yeah. So my birthday is a significant day. So it's kind of like I always tell my parents, like I thank them every year for like bringing me into this world, and then I thank them for being that phone call to save my life.
Nice.
So,
nice.
yeah.
So, hello.
Hi. Hi, babe.
This is going to be interesting, you guys. This is going to be very interesting.
It is. So we're just going
to jump right in.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, of course. So let's start. What was your introduction to treatment?
My introduction to treatment was before that surrender when I was 23 years old. At 21, between 21 and 23 was kind of a blur, but I believe like right before I was 22, I went to domestic violence shelter. And I was in an abusive relationship and it led me to the streets, and I think long before my addiction and like using drugs as like a kid, because I tried drugs when I was 13. And I think I had like moments and spurts, I would say, where addiction was definitely present in my life, but I wasn't suffering consequences, but in meeting that individual when I was 21, it led me to the streets, and then it led me into a domestic violence shelter, and that's where I was introduced to the program. I was introduced to maybe the first 3 steps and some meetings. And I was the first person in that domestic violence shelter in 25 years when I walked in. And they said, you're the first person who's ever walked in here with family that you could call.
Wow.
And so,
how did that make you feel? Sorry. How did that make you feel when they said that to you?
I started to kind of see where, like, I'm lucky because I've always had like, I really always had a good life. Like, I think coming from a family that you have like everything that you could ever imagine, not wanting for anything. I believe that like I learned at a very young age that I experienced a lot of like pain or like trauma. And I think that those are things that kind of created a void within me. I think what I realized at that moment is like I got to see things in that domestic violence shelter. It's almost as if like they talk about in the program, like those are like those are my yets. Like I could be that person without my family. I could be that person with, I saw girls in there that were prostitutes. I seen girls in there that were, their parents were brothers and sisters. I seen people who had been through really traumatic childhood experiences that I didn't have, but yet I was in the same place as them. But I could identify with the feelings behind why we were there, if that makes any sense.
It does.
I think for me, like I understood I could say I understood a lot through this process of recovery of why I ended up using. And so it's taken a lot of work and a lot of healing, but I understood why I was like in the relationships that I was in growing up, or why I would choose the guys that I chose. A lot of sibling rivalry.
Yeah.
And I really had a lot of sibling rivalry. And that was like the first person I could say that was like abusive to me. It was like by no mistake. I share about this a lot. Like I say, there's 3 things that like have happened to me in my life that I believe were the start of my addiction. And that was getting molested when I was 3. My brother being in the room and not protecting me. Being molested when I was 6 by another family member. And then my cousin dying when I was 13.
Hmm.
And, you know, yeah, and she died very close to my birthday when I was 13. So my birthday is a very significant time for me to realize, like, I find a lot of gratitude in that space because I can remember. I feel like my life would have been different had she not died.
Got you.
Yeah,
So how did trauma play a big part in your addiction?
a lot. I believe that the minute that I put drugs in my system, the first time I ever tried drugs, I understood what it meant when your mind quiets and you no longer have to think about the stuff. I think being molested when I was young really played a big part in a secret and like an unsafety. It left me very confused. Like I really didn't understand. Like I know today that I had no responsibility in the actions of others. But I do know that I had a responsibility in the role that it played in my life moving forward in the relationships that I decided to get into.
Yeah.
And so I decided that being in more of the painful relationships or the hard relationships, or, I always dated outside of my race. That was really hard. For my family, I come from a white family and I'm Jewish. And I think like the minute I was born, they were like, my daughter's going to be with a white Jewish boy, and I never brought home that white Jewish boy. And
That was me,
Yeah.
like bringing my
Like,
my
your
only
only
wife,
Ugh.
um,
Careful.
to yeah, yeah, you know what I mean? Bringing my only wife to family function dinner, and then
Mhm.
introducing her at that time as my my girlfriend. Um, I, my first instinct was they're about to throw stuff and food, and
Yeah.
man, they love her more than they love me.
Yeah.
Call her every day, and that's just how it is. But
My
yeah,
relationship with my father, though, is an incredible relationship.
yeah.
So I've never had a dad that was like, he didn't care about anyone's color of skin, or even if they were a gangster, he didn't care. He really cared about who you were as a person. Yeah, and he'll talk about that a lot. Like he just said it on my birthday. Like I at 3 years old, I was like, I want a black baby talk. It was like this doll that was like a brown doll, and I wanted the brown doll, and they made sure to make it happen for me.
Yeah.
So he's like, I always knew you were different, and from where I come from, it's like it was different. Like they wanted me to, I'm sure date within my race, but I never brought that home. And he was just always supportive of like whatever I was going through at the time. I always had his support and love. And I feel like my dad always saw me for me. So no matter what I was going through, even if I had a problem with drugs, or I was getting in trouble at school, or needed therapy, even protecting me when he heard that I got molested, those were things that like I've always had a great, great, great relationship with that man.
I knew this was going to be a great interview for many reasons, not only because,
Because you loved me.
but but for many reasons, because of your story, because of the trauma you've been through, that you got to the other side. Because for a lot of the viewers that are probably watching and that are sitting wherever they're sitting, and they're contemplating treatment, recovery, what's the next step? I can do it. I've been through this, I've been through that.
Yeah.
The fact even that the disease of addiction does not discriminate on anything. You could be rich, have both parents, have
Mhm.
everything you want, have your aunt fly to another state just to buy you a doll.
Yeah.
You know, with, that's what that's what they did for her. Or be a dancer for almost all your life, or when you're young and do this, and it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
right? So, and then you speaking about the trauma, like how is it now being on the other side of the trauma?
Mm.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I've had the resources to get all the help that I needed. Um, I really am. I'm very fortunate to do that. I think growing up, my outlet was dance. So I think like, thank God they invested all the money and time because I wasn't, I wasn't a scholar in school and, I skated by. I got in trouble. I did a lot of things I probably shouldn't have done, but my outlet was always dance and it was a consistency in my life. I remember like being in those moments where when I said like, I'd be using and I'd still be dancing. I could live two lives at like one time, and but my outlet like was dance. I'd be crying and dancing on stage. I loved it, you know? And then when I think about it here and I think about like it was whatever I needed, I was provided. And I find that like that's a blessing for me. When I went to treatment, my dad paid out of pocket. Period. And I know people that like struggle just to get into treatment and like wait for their bed. Like when I asked for help, when I even found that domestic violence shelter, like I went to the domestic violence shelter and they were still there to pick me up. When I needed treatment, he opened, he paid for me to be there. And that was a big blessing. I've always had the resources. And I feel like but now I know today, like I don't need their resources to get me what I need to do. What I've learned is to be this self-supporting person that like I have the resources to like get myself that today. There's been times even with clean time, I've had to reach out for help and like go to therapy
Yeah.
or to touch on areas that like come up still today because there's things that still like, you know, plague me today with time.
So, how many treatments have you been to?
One.
What did you get out of it?
I was so ready, honestly.
How old were you?
So so the cool thing was that when I asked for help, I ended up my parents wouldn't let me at home. I wasn't allowed back at the house.
Yeah.
And my mom's really good friend was like, I'll let her stay on my couch. I wasn't allowed in the detox center because at that time I was on so much medication from the streets. They had diagnosed me with they had diagnosed me incorrectly, but at the time I'm sure it was correct or based on like what I was going through. The treatment center wouldn't let me in because I was on Xanax. And so I had to detox for 2 weeks because they were scared I was going to have seizures. And so my mom's friend said, I'll let her come and stay on my couch. And, you know, with a domestic violent relationship, they'll say like a person will go back to their abuser 7 times. And so their fear was if I don't get into treatment right now, I'm going to go back to him. And I stayed on that couch for 2 weeks. I did smoke weed up until the time that I went into treatment. I played Scrabble. It kept me busy. My mom's friend really, really like I do believe by the grace of God, like because I could have left. I mean, I did go back to him about 7 times within the process of trying to get out of that space. So for me to go and park it there, I was really tired. And I felt a lot older than 23. Like living in the streets, I wasn't raised that way. I had a lot of like goals, aspirations. I had my dream job that was handed to me right before I had to go into the domestic violence shelter. And I was going to work at this dance studio, and run a kids program.
Wow.
And I always wanted to own my own dance studio. And I lost that opportunity because I really needed to like escape him. And losing that was like losing a big part of who I was. It's like a form of my identity. So I feel like when I finally made the plunge after being on the streets with him and and leaving 2 furnished apartments that my parents had bought me. You know, I had, I was so tired. I lived with a drug dealer. I shared a bed that was probably the size of, like, as skinny as this, you know, with this guy. I was so tiny. And I remember just, like, waking up on my birthday and having nothing in that room other than the bed and, like, a few clothes, you know, I grew up in the valley. I was, like, shopping at Goodwill. Like, I didn't even know what a motel was until I met this guy. I had no clue what a motel was. Like, I had never been to a motel. On a good day, I'm sorry, but it's true, that's how I grew up. But, like, on a good day, it'd be, like, a motel and, like, a fucking Carl's Jr. burger because I panhandled just to get the room and the burger. I was just tired of living that way. I didn't wanna eat top ramen. I just the way that I was living was just, like, not how I grew up, and I missed living a good life. I missed it.
So the one treatment that you went to, you completed it.
I completed it. Yes, I completed it, and I got out and I started doing outpatient right away. I moved into sober living.
Okay. And did you continue doing the things that were suggested at the time?
So, yes and no.
Explain that.
So there was a part of me that when I was in treatment, they suggested that I, got a sponsor. They suggested that I work the steps and that I go to meetings. And what I really liked about the treatment center was that they helped identify the program they thought that would be best for me. And I really appreciated that because I had tried to get clean on the streets and I just couldn't do it in one of the fellowships. And this for me worked. I'll never forget. They just said, get a sponsor, 5 or more years clean, go to meetings and go to this fellowship. And to me, it was that simple. But it's I know I was ready and I know my surrender was really real. It was when I got out, it was the fear of being out and how was I going to have fun being clean. I couldn't fathom not drinking. So in the thought, I guess they'll say like, oh, you had a reservation. Like, it's not that I had a reservation. It was that like, I really just didn't understand how like going to bingo and like volunteering my time on Friday.
I think you just didn't understand anything but getting high, right? Like, I think that's
Because,
for
yeah,
that's
I
for
mean,
all of us, right? Like, all we knew how to do is get high.
Yeah.
And now that you changed your behaviors and your thinking,
Yeah.
and you came out into this real world, right? You didn't know what to do, right? As most of us do,
Yeah.
right? When we get clean and we come out of a inpatient center and we're like, boom, life starts fucking
Yeah.
hitting us. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
so I understand that. I really do.
Yeah. I think also too, it was like, I mean, honestly, this is one thing. It was like I knew that like the only career that I knew that I wanted to do was be a dance teacher. And then I was like, in treatment, like I was a 00 when I went in, and then I was like, I stepped on the scale when I got out, and I'm like, whoa, So there was like those insecurities of gaining weight
I
there.
100% get you. It's like you said something not too long ago.
put down the pipe and picked up a fork.
Picked up the fork, but it was crazy because it was just like I hadn't. It wasn't like I was eating so unhealthy in there because I had like a salad bar and stuff, but it was like watching myself just get healthy again. It's like we packed that on. So to think, oh, I'll go back to dance class, and dance was right down the street. I could go to a studio right there, right? But like there was so much insecurity about this new way of life and like what I wanted to do. And also too was like, it's uncomfortable. And it's also like the way that people, like when they say to you, like, oh, you got to change everything. So like, I agree with that. And I'm grateful for that advice. But then I also wish that like, it wasn't really given to me. Like, you got to change everything. Meaning like, I really don't think I had to change that career mindset. Like, I think I could have gone back with the motivation had I. And so for me, it was like starting this new way of like, just trying to find myself. And I knew like going there, like this treatment center offered us family support. So we had like family group. My dad at the time had been in Al-Anon, so like he no longer enabled me. And I really, in my mind, I was like, if I get 6 months clean, this man will just buy me an Audi and he will refurnish an apartment for me.
Please tell me the story about
Me too.
Please tell me the story about the Audi.
So
You crashed it. You got it.
No.
You crashed it.
No,
No.
hear it.
You became ungrateful.
You gotta-
Give it to you.
no.
You became ungrateful.
no,
You gotta remember. I mean,
No.
she didn't say it here, but she when she does, she says she's a Jewish princess, right?
yeah.
So please tell me the Audi story.
So my dad,
Don't tell me I've heard it many times and I love it. Tell the viewers.
yeah. So my dad
Haven't
was
seen that.
very like in Al-Anon, and he would pick me up and he would take me to meetings. So he would sit there with me and he would collect my chips. And so it was like a big thing for me. Like my dad and I had something in common now. Like I think it was a beautiful gift. I got to speak at meetings with him, like, which was really cool. Like he would take me to his groups and I would support him and he would support me. And like, I cherish that. Like I cherish that. Like I thank God that like, cause he would take me to events with my first sponsor. We did everything. And so I just watched him collect my chips but like my mindset was more like still like that manipulation. Like, oh, like if I get 6 months and I give him this blue chip, he'll give me the Audi. And like, then at a year, no, maybe he'll get me my furnished apartment.
That program changed his thinking. I trust me. My mom did the same thing, and fucking come 6 months, I'm like, hey,
I believed it. And my
give
roommate at the time,
me.
my roommate at the time. So when I lived in sober living, like this is how the disease kind of like manifests for me is that like I was a follower.
Uh-huh.
And so like my roommate at the time, she started to take like the Tylenol PM. But like, you know, Tylenol PM on the back of the bottle, it does not say take 6. And so she was like, well, I take 6. And so I followed suit. And so like that's how easy a relapse could wake up for somebody, right?
Absolutely.
But like I'm watching somebody do that and like I'm in sober living and I'm not thinking in my mind that like now I've mentally relapsed. Well, I mean, people might not say that was a relapse, but to me that was like the start of my thinking kind of like being altered. And so I started doing that with her and little by little, then I would like chip, like, okay, smoke a little weed, like go back to the sober living. Nobody would catch me, you know, take a little shot, you know, and truthfully, like alcohol, weed was always a part of my life, but alcohol wasn't. It was like, just like something safe. It wasn't my drug of choice. And so, what happened for me 4 months into my recovery was I was with a sponsee sister and I was working steps. I had a sponsor, but I wasn't being honest about relapsing. And this one night we just all were out and I got drunk, like really drunk. And so I went to my mom's house. My parents were separated at the time and I get to her front door and I'm on a pass and she just opens up the door and I'm like stumbling in her house and she just looks at me and she's like, you're drunk. I'm like, no, I'm not drunk. And she's like, you're drunk. I just went to sleep. When I woke up in the morning, like the best thing could have happened to me. So she woke up and she just said something that like really resonated with me. And she was like, I know you got drunk last night. I tried to lie one more time. And then she just said, she goes, I'll just tell you this. I won't tell anybody unless you tell them. And for some reason with those 6, like for those 4 months, you know, something about my integrity or like my inner honesty, like had come alive. And I knew that like, it didn't just mean so much that like he would show up every Wednesday and take me to a meeting and like sit in the front and collect my chips. But it was something that like I knew that like I couldn't even drink like a lady. And now here I am having to start over, having to admit. And like, I remember his last words to me when he helped me, he said, I won't help you if you ever get loaded again.
So let me ask you this, right? When you had to come back to those meetings, did you have that shame, that guilt, that fear of like getting up there and picking that white key tag. Did you have that shame and guilt and fear? Like
No,
these individuals in this meeting are gonna judge me.
no. The first thing I had was like, I have to call my dad.
Mhm.
The second fear was, thank God I had my sponsor. And I had to tell my sponsor, not only did I relapse, but I relapsed with my sponsee sister. And number two, I really had to figure out, if he doesn't help me, I'm on the streets again. And I was fucking terrified because I know my clean date is different from the day that I called them. My original clean date was February 27th of 2009. My clean date today is June 20th of 2009. But I knew when I called my sponsor, I said, I relapsed. I don't know what to do. I'm probably getting kicked out of the sober living. You know, and all she said to me was, just have a little faith. And again, I really, really feel like God was by my side because it was Father's Day weekend. So when I called him, literally, I was like, I had faith in my sponsor. My dad had a relationship with my sponsor. Like this was like, I had so much support. And so when I called him, he just said, he like literally cried and he was just like, thank you for getting honest with me. It was like, I'm going to help you. And I will never forget that because for me, that was my sense of relief that I wasn't going to be homeless. I didn't care about the starting over. I cared about the lie. I cared more about the lie because that's a hard, like, this wasn't about anybody else but me. And I was very clear on that. Like, I know that I was ready for this journey, but I think for him, it was like, I was so tired of disappointing him more than anybody.
Sure.
And I was so like this man had like like my whole family, but my dad and I have this deep relationship where it's like, I mean, he has picked me up. He has watched me be stabbed. He's watched my nose been broken. He's helped me through like, and all my family had to endure it. But when you know that someone loves you unconditionally like that, and then like continues to help you, and like he still came to the front and like sat with me in the meetings, and he was kind of like that guiding force, helped me get back into outpatient again. I did like a year of outpatient, you know, and there's a lady who I still love there to this day, but you know, there's something about, and I don't know if it happens now, but I know I experienced this, like, because there was so much like, I guess I was nutty when I got here. I was like, you know, I did a lot of things. Like, I did a lot of things. I got into a relationship probably with somebody I shouldn't have. You know, I did the whole, like, I didn't do everything right,
Of course.
you know. And then this lady was in outpatient, and like I had more like shame and guilt to come to the people that like were helping me get to where I'm at.
Be like, hey,
Be like, hey, like here I am. Now I have to start over. And like, I think I was more scared of them like scolding me. And there was like one lady who believed in me. And it only takes one person to believe in you when you get here, because some of us are really nutty and we need extra support. Like, I'm still nutty to this day, but I'm not that nutty that I was when I walked in, right? So like, but I needed that love. I'm still nutty, but I'm okay. Like, I am who I am. But I really needed those, like, I needed my dad to believe in me and I needed her. So when the sober livings didn't want to take me because that one sober living said like, oh no, like, you know, let me just be very clear that when I went into treatment, I was on all that medication. They altered my medication while I was in treatment. And when I was in treatment, I didn't feel right on that one medication. So what I did when I was in sober living was take myself off of the medication, right?
okay.
And so I was having also effects of that on top of relapsing. And like, so I was like having all these experiences,
Everything.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so like, it was just all this like stuff where I was like, I just wanted to start over and like fresh. And that woman saved my life. She was like, you know what, in the next 6 months, like, let's evaluate you mentally to see where you're at, because maybe you need a clear diagnosis.
Yeah.
And the truth was I was out on the streets and I'm in an abusive relationship. They diagnosed me as bipolar. I'm not bipolar, and I do have ADHD and I am clearly ADHD, like, but the thing was is that like I didn't have a proper diagnosis. So I was going through all those things. And so like, yeah, she went to bat for me and I started my journey and I got into a new sober living and my journey has began since that day.
You know what? Like, I had a similar story happen, right? But it's more of, insurance gave up on me, couldn't get back into treatment.
Mhm.
Like, they said, "You, my friend, have been to 100,000,000 treatment centers within a
a lot.
year."
That's a lot.
I'm
Okay.
being I'm exaggerating.
But a lot.
Yeah, a lot. And this time around, when I tried to get clean, they were like, "Nope, nope, nope." Um, One of my high school buddies at that time owned a halfway house, and I called him, and he goes, "I know your insurance is not good. I'll scholarship," right? And I
That's a
got
gift.
scholarship. But now, like, getting clean, I know how to not use drugs,
Yeah.
when I want to,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's not that difficult. But now staying abstinent from drugs is difficult.
Yeah.
And I was suggested to go to meetings. So I would go to meetings, right? And I remember when I came back from a relapse and I came to, at that time, it was my home group. I had that shame, that fear,
Yeah.
that guilt, and this two gentlemen at that meeting like saw me and were like happy to
Yeah.
see me,
Yeah.
gave me that fucking hug,
Yeah.
and my goal was to like fucking sit in the back, say, "Come on, let's hurry up, let me go
Yeah.
back home," right? And they said, "No, no, no, you're sitting in the front with us," and because I was a runner. Right, when shit gets uncomfortable, like boom, I'm out. And
Yeah.
and they sat me in the front row. I was in the middle, and when the key tag person said 0 to 29 days, come on up and surrender, and
Yeah.
I sunk into my seat.
Yeah.
Like fuck, like that shame, that guilt, that
Yeah.
fear, and I don't know what the fuck happened, but these two individuals that were sitting next to me, fucking elbowed me.
Mhm.
I jumped up.
Yeah.
And as soon as I jumped up, everyone started clapping.
Yeah.
And then like I had to like walk with my head down. Like, what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Once more. You did this once more. You relapsed once more.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I took that newcomer key tag. And I'm beyond grateful for these two individuals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's these people that in my head, my mentality, my addiction, my disease would tell me like these individuals don't want you at these meetings.
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like when I was out there ripping and running, I would still come to meetings.
Yeah.
And I would hold commitments at meetings.
Right.
Right? Like I was the cleanup person and I would get up at the end of the meeting and say, "Hey, if and they would be like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah."
Yeah.
Like that's wild,
Yeah.
And they love you until you can love yourself.
Yeah.
I do get that, and like putting your family in harm's way.
Yeah.
Dude, I was talking about this with my wife last night. What I did with my mom. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
having dope and going to the mailbox to drop off mail for her
Yeah.
in the car, and four undercover cops just jump out, and like she's like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
She never had to deal with this.
Yeah.
But that unstable addict
Yeah.
that was me, like put her in harm's way
Yeah.
in the name of one more.
Yeah.
So I get it. I truly do. And now, like, I have a beautiful relationship with my mom.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I call her, I joke around with her. You know what I mean? Like, but like we have this beautiful relationship. Like you guys met my mom.
Yeah.
Like for some reason she thinks that he's the funniest guy on the whole world.
Because
Like,
I am.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I
but,
am.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like
She loves me.
when we were like, "Hey, like let's bring Marianne to this podcast." In my head, I was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna mess with her. I'm gonna mess with," because that's what we do. You know what I mean? Like that's what we do.
Like a lot.
Yes, yes. Even when we're in the shittiest moods,
Yes.
like that's what we do, right? And like your whole story fucked up that mood. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, let me tell you too, like I had a very opposite experience than what you had in the rooms, and I'll tell you this much. The hardest part was to tell the sponsor, my dad. But my home group, thank God my home group was like a women's home group.
Yeah.
And so when I got to go there, like the worst for me, it was the worst was over. It was like when I got to finally like get up and get that white chip, for me, it was like a sense of relief because remember, for those 4 months, I was dibble dabbling in like whatever I kind of could get my hands in. And like there was like being a liar and a manipulator. Once you get a kind of taste or like even in treatment, it was like I learned so many tools of what I needed to do to just keep going and doing this. To me, it was like the consequences of like the streets and the panhandling and abusive relationship and like sleeping on the streets or like finding a person that would let me stay in their home and convincing that he could come with me and all the it's draining, it's tiring, it's a lot of work.
it's so draining.
It's a lot of work to be homeless.
But now, you know, this new generation, you tell them to take 2-3 buses to a meeting, they're like,
And let me tell you, like that was one thing. Like my dad had me work for like what I was gonna get, but walking into that home group, we just like really squirreled off your question.
I know that's right. We're gonna get there.
We will get there.
oh,
Wait.
she hiding?
The Jetta. I wanted
he
the
asked
Jetta
about
part,
the home group really embraced me and they loved me, and that's just how it was for me. And I always tell people like when we have to lie about our clean time, it's really that's the one thing that is like the worst is like I feel it's not about like any of us and what we think, and or like with us with time, like you know, and I still at 16 years clean. There's been 4 times where I've wanted to get loaded in my clean time, and I just think about all the things I just explained to you.
Yeah.
You know, so like I rode the bus. I lived in sober living. I worked at a little boutique in Hollywood. I fucking lived with 14 women as sober living that I get to work for today. You know, I didn't know how to mop a floor when I was living in sober living. You know, I had no like, even though I lived on my own when I had my furnished apartments, like I had a maid come in, like, you know, so to live and do things on my own. Think is up. I didn't know how to like do that. And the manager was just like the first time they were like, "Hey, you have the floors." And I'm like, "I don't know how to mop a floor." She actually takes care of our Texas homes, and her and I laugh about that all the time. She was like, "You don't know how to mop a floor?" I'm like, "No." Like I didn't know how to use a mop. I didn't make my bed when I was growing up. I didn't do laundry. I learned how to, I'm not even good at it today, but it's okay. But you know, I'm saying I didn't have any life skills. I had to learn all of those things. But what I did realize is that thank God my dad didn't just give me the things that like he would normally give to me, because I believe everything has come to me so slow. I don't have everything I want at 16 years in this process, but I am more self-supporting today than I've ever been.
You have everything you need, though.
I have everything I need.
Yes.
When he asked about the car, and we just like went on. I asked him, I asked for a car. He's like, "You ready for a car?" I was like, "Okay." Well, my roommate has a car. When I went to treatment with, she was selling her car. It was a 1990 Infiniti. And she's like, "I'll sell it to you for $500. I call my dad. I'm like, "Dad," and at this time, like I started working for him. And I was living in North Hollywood, and then I would take the bus to work in Woodland Hills. And he's like, "You know what? Like, you're ready." I'm like, "Look, this car came up. She'll sell it to me for $500. It's a 1990 Infiniti. I just wanted a car." The bus in the rain is like something that I never want to do ever again. Never again. And he was like, "Okay, I'll help you." So we went to go check it out. And when we got there, it was a 1990 Infiniti with a broken windshield. It was like, I'll buy it for her. So I got my vehicle. I never got that Audi. I really thought that I would. And he just he helped me get my first car. And it was like my bucket. And I was so grateful for that bucket. And I've never had a bucket, but I was grateful for that bucket.
Yeah, we all start somewhere. Yeah.
So how is life now?
Life is really good now.
Well, I want to,
You want to what?
before we get there, because this is where we want to go to that question. But when you went and you took that chip after coming clean,
Yeah.
after being dirty and
Yeah.
lying to the program that you're doing, how has it been since then, and how did it feel? I mean, because again, my story too.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. I talked that again. Another plug, episode 1. I've talked about it.
Yeah.
I was the addict that took dirty chips.
Yeah.
And when I came clean, it felt so great.
Yeah.
But then I had to do some work.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think that we get clean around here, and we get clean around here, and we just and that's it.
Yeah.
This is a program of action.
Yeah.
Right. So you had to start doing some work, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
I've always been in the work, even through the time that I was like relapsing, which is kind of crazy, but
that doesn't really count.
I'll say that's like where my recovery really began.
That's what I mean. Yes.
And so was I lying in my step work when I first got clean? I don't believe that I ever was. I believe that but I believe that that just really started my journey. Like I really believe that I needed that to happen in order for me to realize like what consequences I was going to face if I did not do this. And for me, this is life or death. Like for me, like I do believe that it's life or death. Like to me, a death sentence would be living on the street. To me, I don't want to live in a motel. To me, I want to have money in my pocket. To me, I want to have a career. To me, I wanted to have all the things that I would not be capable of having if I was getting loaded. I really didn't want to lose like my family. That was one thing I know that I didn't want to, but the work and my first sponsor, I've had 4 sponsors since I've gotten clean, but my first sponsor really is a person that gave me all the tools that literally resonate with me today in the hardest moments of my life. So like she will say, like she used to give me advice that like if I'm not working the 12 steps, that I'm gonna walk around with untreated addiction. And what that meant for me was that like you could get clean or you can have recovery, but if you're not working on yourself and you're not in the work, and I'm not writing and I'm not talking about the behaviors and like the like my attitudes, my behaviors, what I'm doing out there, and I'm not touching on those things, then I am going to walk around with disease thinking. And like disease thinking gets me in a lot of trouble. And it can mean a lot of things today that's different than when I first got here. And so like she really, really like what I talked about in the beginning, like if I didn't, those things were secrets to me. Like I couldn't talk about being molested when I first got here. I remember doing my first 4 step and that came out. And I remember talking to her about just like the second thing, like the second time that happened. And, you know, my family knows about it today, you know, and like, but like, I didn't find out until I had 3 years clean that like what happened to me at 3 years old was actually a fact. And so like throughout my recovery, I've had to touch on those things that like, they affected me. Part of my drug use is like I chose a lot of drugs that like I would sit in circles with people and we would have in-depth conversations, raves and like all that kumbaya stuff. And I will tell you that like when I was out there, that is a big topic that came up for me. Like I was in pain about the pain that I went through as a kid. So for me, when I think about it, I did medication, I did psychiatry, I did religion, I did everything other than the program. And nothing ever got me here to where I'm at now. It's like I got to uncover that within the steps of my sponsor. And I think like that's where the healing really began. And I didn't have to have any more secrets. And I trusted the person that was sitting across from me every time doing that. And like I really believe that, just like how I had my spiritual awakening. And now I feel like I'm that person like you were talking about, that when like my best friend, who she struggled for the first 3 years of we almost lost her, you know what I mean? And she's my friend today with Clean Time. But I remember she would take white chips and I would be with her and her head would be down. And I mean, I've always been her, like, you know, like I people who relapse over and over, I don't lose hope in sight of those people. I feel like anyone can get it, whether it's their 40th time, their 17th time, their third time, their first time. I believe that anybody could get clean whenever it's their time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably the best like healing process I ever went through. And it was free.
Oh, yeah, free is good. So back to Cena's question.
How's my life now?
How's it now?
My life is good. My life is really good. My life is full. I've gone through a lot of ups and downs.
Good man in your life?
I have a great man in my life. He's really, really good.
Saying I just live here.
I've gone through a lot of life. Gone through a lot of growing up.
Be lifing.
Yeah. I always I could do this. I think in the times that I wanted to get loaded clean, I think the last time that I wanted to get loaded, like, which wasn't too long ago, or having like crises in my life.
And we touched on that, I think, a couple episodes ago. I mean, it's okay. I mean, that's normal. I mean, people are naive to think that, just because we get clean, we're not ever going to think about using again. It's okay that we've got those. It's just what we do about it.
Yeah. I think the blessing behind that is all the people that I've met along my journey.
Yeah.
That like, I think have been put in my life at the right time. I realize that not everything stays the same. I think change for me as an addict, and I'm sure people, and you can relate, change is really, it's hard. Very uncomfortable. Motherhood, like my son has never had to see me loaded.
How's that?
His motherhood is hard. Motherhood, I always envisioned that like his dad would be here. And I think watching him be in prison now for life is so my son can see two sides of addiction, right? Like he could see a mom that's clean and, does this way of life. And then a dad that decided to relapse and make one bad decision and might never get out. It's like, that's really hard. But he's an amazing, amazing kid. Like I'm really blessed. I'm one and done. That's for sure. I'm one and done. But I'm really blessed to have the experience to be a mom. And you know what? He's been my why sometimes. Like I've had to pick my whys. Like I always ask myself, like, why do I stay clean? Like, why am I doing this for myself? Like, what is it? And it's just like, he's been my why sometimes. He's been my reason. Like I don't take that for granted. Like he's a big purpose for me. I don't do it perfectly, but I'm doing a really good job as a single mom and just trying to do the best that I can. I love that, like, honestly, that he knows what this life, he's like heard some of my story. And even though he's 12, I'm not all the way transparent, but he's heard enough. He knows I'm strong. I don't think this is for the weak.
100%.
Not for the weak.
You know what's very like for me, like when you just said this right now, like we have a little group, right? It's all of our kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's sick. I absolutely enjoy seeing all of our kids together and having fun and knowing that their parents are recovering addicts.
Yeah.
And how they change their lives. Because my son heard my share.
Yeah.
Right. And
yeah.
Came up to me one day after I shared and was like, "Did you really do that?"
Yeah.
I was like, well, it's the grips of the disease.
Yeah.
And it's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. So it's really a blessing to see our kids grow up together.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the name of this podcast is No Matter What.
I didn't know that.
It is. You get what? Really?
All of
Yeah.
a sudden, she wants to joke around now, huh?
We'll keep coming back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna stay.
Well, yeah. So the name of this podcast is No Matter What.
Yeah.
I'm glad you know this now. All right. We like to end with this question. What does no matter what mean to you?
No matter what means to me, that's a very good question. I'm sure someone would say, like, no matter what, we don't use no matter what, but no matter what to me means that, like, no matter
Yes, no matter what.
what I've gone through, no matter what is yet to come, no matter what I face in life, like, this life is possible. No matter what, I got you.
This is turning out to be a Valentine's podcast over here, bro. Like,
You should have named it
That's funny.
that.
Keep winking
Valentine's
at me.
podcast
Yeah.
here, exclusive.
Oh,
Valentine's
keep winking
podcast.
at you. Just winked at me.
Yeah.
No, but no matter what, no matter what I've gone through, no matter what is yet to come, like, this life is possible, and it's
Yes.
actually a really, like, it's a good life, even when it's bad. Like, anything I'm going through now or I've gone through that's really, really hard, there's something about coming out on the other side that, like they told me that when I was new.
Yeah.
They told me, like, it's possible to do this with, like, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And I've seen people go through the worst of the worst clean and just get through it. And every time that's happened for me, it's like a natural high. I can't explain it. Like, I do know that the sun is shining at the end of the storm, you know? And I could not understand that until I lived through that. And each time it's gotten a little better. It still hurts. I got growing to do, but, you know, like, I don't think I would want to. I'm so glad I haven't traded it just because my thoughts go there.
What the saying is, I would never give up the best day using for my worst day clean.
Yeah.
You know?
And
I would
sometimes
much
it's
rather-
really hard.
I would much rather be part of the no matter what fucking club. No matter what. I don't think that.
Yeah. But I think there's those days or those times where I'm just like,
Yeah.
thank God I made it through.
One day at a time.
One day at a time.
We're here right now.
Well, I appreciate you coming out.
Thanks for having me, friend.
Just I already know what's gonna happen after this. You guys are gonna whatever, but I do appreciate I do appreciate you coming out.
Thank you, Sina.
On this podcast. It really does mean a lot. I wanted to mess around with you this podcast, but I guess you were serious today. So I'll keep coming back. For the viewers, if you or your loved one are struggling and are afraid to reach out to the description, to the links below, you are more than welcome to comment on this podcast or reach out to us and we will give you guys a comment back. Peace and love.